Hey, it's Ross from rosslukeman.com. Today I wanted to do a little bit of story time from my life on the road and specifically talk about dating and van life, or perhaps RV life, but just life on the road and what are the prospects for dating. So hopefully this is useful for you. I may have had a different vehicle than you. I'm a guy, so this is going to be from a man's perspective. Maybe you're a woman, but hopefully this will be useful. Whoever you are, whatever vehicle you're traveling in, people need to connect with others. And so I'm just going to talk about my experience. I lived on the road for about 2.5 years in the United States, and part of that was traveling, part of that was working for my van build clients. But I wanted to break this down into 3 categories. So I'm going to talk about the vehicle and some tips, really some mistakes that I made. And then I'm going to talk about you and what you can do to make yourself more attractive out there with van life to attract potential mates. And the third one, we'll talk about your social life and some things that you can do and some things that I did to expand my social opportunities on the road, which can be kind of a challenge for people in van life. So starting out with my vehicle, I'll go ahead and show a quick picture. So I was obsessed. I was obsessed with stealth. I had a Chevy Express van, and I wanted to be able to park anywhere and blend in and look like a work van. And I succeeded in that endeavor. And one of the things that I had was a partition between the cab and the living area, and I wanted to be able to go through the partition door from the cab undetected. Basically, I would pull in to park for the night, turn off the engine. I changed the lighting settings so the dome light did not come on when I pulled the key out. But it was dark, and I had the front windows darkened and the rear windows even darker. So I was able to travel all over the United States and be very stealthy. Even in Southern California, where they had a lot of restrictions to get rid of RVers because they had been overrun, I was able to blend in there as well. The flip side of this from a romantic standpoint is I had been so obsessed with being stealthy that I inadvertently chose a van that was associated with serial killers, kidnappers, and just painting houses. You know, I hate to say it, but if you look at the Chevy van versus the Mercedes, the Chevy, I looked a little bit like an auto mechanic, which I am today, but there were just some negative connotations with that van. And then when I didn't put any markings on the outside, I didn't have any RV style air conditioners on the roof, all I had was my solar panel. It looked very industrial, it looked very scary, and so people did not mess with me. But then again, it was like the #1 vehicle that women are afraid of. So I had only had sports cars, or my previous car was a sports car, so I had never had a van, and I just wanted to blend in. I didn't want anyone to bang on my door. I didn't want the police. By the way, the police could care less about people camping in vans. They have much bigger problems. I did not have. I had one police encounter in Taos, but I stayed at the library with a bunch of other vans, and then at the end of the season, all the other vans left, and I was the only one, and then the neighbors called the police. The police station was right next to the library. It was a small town. So they came over, I talked to them. I told them I was flying out of Albuquerque the next day, and so they said, all right, well, I said, the Walmart is too loud in Taos, so they said, well, you can stay here another night, you're leaving tomorrow, or whatever. So the only police encounter I had in 2.5 years, they actually told me like, okay, we'll go ahead and sleep here for the night. So they really don't care. It's the property owners that I parked at like a big box store development with the Home Depot and a bunch of other stores. The property owners will run off the people sleeping in vehicles. Now at Walmart, they typically don't do that unless they've had such a bad experience with homeless. They will leave you alone. In some of the Walmarts in Santa Fe and Albuquerque, New Mexico, you just see the vehicles lined up, all sorts of vehicles at Walmart, and they don't care. Just don't throw trash and don't put out your lawn chairs and act like you're at the RV park. But other than that, a lot of people do not care, except for Seattle where they're overrun and Southern California where they're overrun. Probably Northern California, San Francisco area overrun. So yeah, they know you're in the vehicle. There's still some areas where you could park to blend in, but going back to the romance side of things, I had such a scary vehicle that, you know, maybe criminals wouldn't mess with me, but I knew there was this perception of like kidnapper, serial killer, which I had never really had before. So that was kind of odd. And it prevented me, I kind of internalized this identity, and it prevented me from making too many overtures and asking out too many women. I did ask out a girl in Seattle at the front desk of a co-working place where I was renting a desk. And those are good places to meet people in the various cities. So I use that a lot. And, you know, she was an Indian girl. And I asked her to recommend an Indian restaurant in Seattle there. They had a few in the area around Microsoft. And she basically said, yeah, I can go. And then she said, well, tell you what, I'm busy today. Go to this restaurant and eat this dish or that dish. And so it was basically like a rejection. Now here's a tip. I'm gonna have to mix my advice here. I was cool when she said, you know, I can't go. And after that, you could tell she kind of regretted it. I didn't lash out. I didn't say like, I didn't call her names or whatever. I just said, oh, okay. And I went to the restaurant and I ate the food and I came back and she said, how was it? And I said, oh, it was good. That was a good recommendation. Now, you know, it hurt my feelings, but I didn't lash out or show anything. And after that, you could tell it kind of piqued her interest. So a lot of times, van or no van, people, you know, women will reject you, and they're kind of seeing what kind of man you are when how you react. If you crumble or you lash out like a little boy, yeah, they're gonna say, yep, I gauged that one correctly, and it's good that I said no. But if you're fine about it, oftentimes they'll say, wow, you know, maybe I should have given that guy a chance, or they'll reconsider what they said. So in general, as far as the van design, making it super scary is going to keep criminals away, and people are going to stay out of your way, but it's going to be scary for women. So again, this is from a man's perspective. So you don't want to be too scary, and you want to look kind of prosperous. People say, who are the van people to me? And I say, it's everyone from homeless to millionaire. And I've been the homeless person living in a vehicle, so I'm not throwing any shade towards those people. But it's a whole range of people, and so you don't want to look, if you're trying to date, you don't want to look like you are financially too desperate, especially as a man. Sorry, ladies, but y'all like prosperous men. So guys, you know, if your van is too old and too decrepit, yeah, I would say it's going to hurt you, because just like your clothing, it represents you. And if it's dirty and old and in disrepair, people are going to take that into consideration. So make it clean. If you're a singleton, a lot of my students and myself, I did this as well. We're like, oh, I'm single, I'm just going to put a single bed. You know, let's be real. If you start dating, you may need a little bit larger bed. So go ahead, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you put a tiny bed for one person, you know, you can't expect to have lots of romantic partners. So go ahead and build a bed for that, and then be able to clean your space. And I think the high roof vans are a little bit easier to clean because you can walk around and clean up. Make sure you have a big enough trash can to throw away your trash. And if you do bring someone over, you want to be able to clean up, throw away your trash, put away your dirty clothes, and have it look nice. So, you know, make the interior nice, and have space for two people. And then I'll just say on the brand of the van, so I had the Chevy work van, low roof, and I have never owned the Mercedes van, but a friend of mine does. He was a customer of mine in Southern California, and he and I built his van in 2017, and in 2018 he came to a live event, a live workshop that I put on for van conversions. And we were in Austin, Texas, in traffic, and we were stopped waiting for the light to change. And there was this girl in the oncoming traffic, and both lanes had stopped. And she was looking. There were these two guys in this black Mercedes van. And man, she was looking, trying to see what was going on with these two guys in this Mercedes. She was interested. And his van, he wanted it black. He was all about he wanted it to look cool. He eventually blacked out the wheels, and of course he had a ladder and air conditioner, so it looked more like an RV. It was a little friendlier. It was a Mercedes, and I just remember this woman or this girl kind of oogling us, and I had never really experienced that in my van. In my van, the women did not look twice. In a white unmarked van, they were just they didn't want to catch any bad situations, I guess. And so that stood out to me. The brand of your van and how new it is and all that stuff, it matters. I mean, I think especially for men, again, if you look like you're down and out homeless, it may be an additional barrier to dating, or less people may be interested. Go ahead and look your best, and that includes your vehicle. So I'll move on to your you and your physicality. Really, all the same rules apply here. You want to dress well, get clothes that fit. They don't have to be super expensive, but have them be somewhat new, not too faded, not too baggy. And then one of the cool things about van life is a lot of people end up in the gym a lot. I used to end up in the gym 6 or 7 days a week. I say 6 days a week, but then I think about, what did I do on that 7th day? I think oftentimes I was in there 7 days a week at the gym. And so go ahead and actually work out. This can be an edge. Everybody likes a good chest. I don't know if that's politically correct to say, but women like a good chest, men like a good chest. Go ahead, if you're a man, go ahead and do some push-ups, do some bench press. Use your time when you go in the gym to shower for van life. Go ahead and actually work out. It will make a huge difference. And then if you don't have a lot of money for clothes, just wear t-shirts. This t-shirt's about $20. Make sure that your clothes are clean and they fit well. Go to the gym. Hygiene, trim your nails, cut your hair. It's really all the same things apply. You may have to work on yourself. It's a little bit harder because of the transient nature of van life. You are going to be disconnected from the social groups that you would normally take for granted when you lived in one place. And so you're fighting an uphill battle. And so your appearance needs to be maybe a little better than it would need to be if you're in your hometown. So go ahead and take care of all this stuff. And the other challenge is it can be more of a logistical challenge to find a good haircut place, to stay clean, keep your nails clipped, keep your fingernails clean, things like this. You have to jump through additional hoops on the road to maintain all of this. So I would just say plan to put a little more effort in that, and I think that it will pay off. The last area that I'll touch on is socially. So as I said, you can be somewhat socially isolated, and again, you need to counteract that out on the road. One thing that I did that was moderately successful was I joined in Taos, New Mexico. I was there for about a month, and I started to get lonely. The conversations with the cashiers at the grocery store just weren't really deep enough for me, and I wanted to know someone in town. So I volunteered at the Habitat Restore, and I would come in on Fridays and I would load whatever people bought of building materials. I would help them load their vehicles. And so I would talk to the townspeople as they came in to load their vehicles. And then I kind of had co-workers, so to speak, that I would see each week. And that really helped. But I think the transient nature of van life is thrilling because you're seeing all of these places, but you can feel disconnected. And so I would say put some effort to connect with people, maybe go on meetup.com. I know several single women that I know, they go on these hiking meetups where you meet up with 40 or 50 people and you go on a hike. So if you're out there in van life wanting to hike and climb mountains anyway, maybe find a group in that town that's doing it that weekend and go with them. And then the other thing I would say, it can be difficult if you're constantly moving from town to town, but that was not really my experience in van life. I would often stay in a place for 6 or 7 months. And some people, you may live in your hometown, so you're there for long durations, and that will help because you're able to make connections. People are able to see you multiple times. My girlfriend right now, it took me a month or two to kind of make anything happen. I met her at my friend's party, and then she actually went back home. She's from South America. She went back home to visit family for several weeks. I didn't see her. And then when she came back, I said, hey, you want to get a drink? And we got a drink, and then we kind of cut things off actually, and I was nice about it. Again, be nice. Say, sorry, nice to meet you. Sorry it didn't work out, but don't lash out. And then several weeks later, 3 weeks later, things came back together. So it took me a few weeks to put that together. And one of the tricks was meeting through friends. So you're kind of pre-vetted, especially for women. If they meet you through a friend of theirs, they assume their friend has kind of vetted you. You're not crazy. You're not violent, all these things. So it helps you. And so I would say in general, if you want to meet romantic partners, then meet some friends. Guys meet guy friends, girls meet girlfriends there in that town. And that'll help your mental health and make you feel good about your life out there. And you'll be able to be socially calibrated when you run into the person that's of interest to you, and be able to hold a nice conversation with them. And the other thing I would just say for guys, it's the same thing. I've been using the line, would you like to have a drink? And you can usually tell, and I've noticed I hang out with guys that are maybe 10 years younger than me, and a lot of them are terrified to get an answer from the girl. They'll spend months kind of avoiding actually getting her decision. Just say, would you like to have a drink? She'll say, I have a boyfriend. One girl said that, and I said, that makes sense. Like, basically, of course you do. And then I said, let me know if anything changes. And I walked off, and that girl's at my gym, and I still talk to her now. So, if they have a boyfriend, put them in the friend zone and just chat with them, But go ahead and get a decision, because when you say, would you like to have a drink with me? They're going to go this way or that way. If they're neutral on you and they're on the fence, you're going to knock them one way or the other. So go ahead and do that. It's a time saver. And for the ones that like you, it's very attractive because it's very bold. So I would just say, get off these dating apps where you're spending hours and hours doing this. Just go talk to people, because once you get in front of somebody from the dating app anyway, you're going to have to have a conversation with them. And if you're used to sitting on your phone all day and you can't converse, and you're not really interesting, you're not doing interesting things and having, going on hiking groups and meeting up with people, you're going to maybe struggle when you get that person off of the dating app. So I would just say, ask them out in person, and it helps to see them a few times. And so that's the only hard part about van life, is if you're just constantly moving, which can be fun for a week or two. You're going to national parks, you're going here, you're going there. But if you settle in somewhere and you see the same person at the co-working office or a meetup group in that town that you've started going to, see them a few times. And for the guys, ask them out. For the girls, I would say just all the hygiene things I said. Take care of yourself, take care of your clothing, and be open and friendly. I think all the people that say, men are bad, women are bad, everyone's angry at the other one, you're out of the game, you're done. So I wouldn't harbor any kind of negativity. Have an appreciation for, like for me, have an appreciation for women and everything they bring. Women, have an appreciation for men and everything that they bring. So just have that positive attitude. No one likes a negative person that sees the glass half empty instead of half full. And so a lot of this is just generic dating advice. I think there are additional challenges with van life because of the transients, because maybe people don't know you as well. You don't have the established social group that's easy to have in your hometown. So those are just some of my tips. Get the vehicle right, get your personal fitness and your hygiene right, and you're going to have to hustle a little bit harder to build the social life. If you want to find a romantic partner, find some friends first, maybe as a foundation. And if you see somebody you like, guys, just ask them to have a drink would be my advice. So I hope this video was useful. Most of my videos are on van electrical systems and they're super technical. I thought I would share some personal stories today. But if you want help with your overall van electrical system, solar, shore, and alternator power, I have a resource that you may be interested in called the Ultimate Van Power Cheat Sheet. It's got a discussion of the 3 major charging sources, solar, shore, and alternator power. It's got a discussion on different battery types and the strengths and weaknesses of those. And it's also got a diagram showing essentially your whole power system that shows how everything throughout your system is linked. So that's a really illuminating diagram that you may find useful. To get your own copy of the Ultimate Van Power Cheat Sheet, all you have to do is click that link below or go to rosslukman.com/vanpower. Or it'd be rosslukman.com/vanpower. I got it backwards. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this was useful. Leave me a comment below and I'll see you in the next video.